Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just doing a little get ready with me, obviously on this look here, so if you want to see how I did it, just keep on watching. We're all just going to ignore the fact that I just squeezed my face, which was super intelligent, because that's what I am. So I'm just going to use some concealer to prep my eyelids. I am probably planning a semi-smoky look, but actually the main reason that I'm doing my eyes first is because I want to put contacts in later on, and I just tend to leave finger imprints in my foundation if I try to put my contacts in after I've done all my makeup. And then if I don't really like wearing contacts, I still find them quite uncomfortable. Like they always dry out in my eyes after a few hours. So I don't like to put them in before I've done anything, and also I'm quite a sensitive Sally. Sorry to any Sallys out there. I'm quite a sensitive person. Things irritate me easier these days. So putting contacts in and then rubbing all the eyeshadows and stuff doesn't feel great. So what I have figured out, the easiest thing to do is to do your eyes first, then put your contacts in, and then do your foundation. So on days that I want to wear contacts, that's what I do. That was the Tarte Shape Tape, by the way, which I don't love as a concealer at the minute. I've mentioned this before, but you know, it really clings to dry spots on me. It's a little too drying for my skin, unless it's being absolutely awesome. It's just, you know, doesn't happen that often. But the reason I do like it is because it's really fair. So it gives a really nice bright in here, which just means I could get like a fairer, different concealer to do that. But at the moment, this is the one I have. Sure, this is what I'm doing. Just dipping into the lightest shade in the Tarte Let in Bloom palette and setting all of that. I have already put primer all over my face. When I did that, I forgot that I wasn't putting on foundation straight away. And then also I just do like the primer to sit on the skin for a little bit before whacking the foundation straight on it. But, you know, an entire eye makeup routine worth of time is possibly a little excessive. Pretty much today I am planning on matching my makeup to a skirt I was given for my birthday, and it's beautiful autumn colours, like deep sort of oranges, burgundies, and a pop of blue. So yeah, I'll be using that as my inspiration. Going into NARS's Single Shadow in Persia, and just high above the crease like I normally do, getting a bit of orange to be popping through. This is such a vibrant pigmented shadow. There's a wee little ingrown hair or something in my eyebrow that is really giving me annoyance. Putting that on the lower lash line. The joy of being a pet owner is that there's flipping hair everywhere all the time. Isn't that beautiful? Should I not just leave it exactly like that? I'm taking Rebel from the same palette, and on the same brush, just a fraction lower, I am going to blend all of this out so that it's not so harsh. I might just leave it exactly like this. Who knows? It's Easter Saturday today, so yesterday I tried making keto hot cross buns, which was a pretty interesting task. I don't know if any of my peeps watching follow the keto diet. If you do, maybe give me a comment down below. Anyway, basically it's a super, super low carb diet, and basically all of the main ingredients in hot cross buns are carb based. So no flour, no sugar, no fruit. Well, the fruit was the thing that I was really thinking was going to be like hella difficult, but they actually turned out pretty good. And if that wasn't an interesting story for you guys, I don't know what would be. Now I'm flopping into the NARS Wanted palette, and I'm taking Temptress, and I'm switching to a more precise brush, and then I'm just building this into the socket. This brush here really gets right into the socket. I might go over the top of that other colour too, because it actually came out darker than I was expecting. So today I'm off to a sort of surprise-esque thing for one of my brother's early birthdays, because he's over visiting from Canada, and they're actually all going home tomorrow, which is quite sad. Yeah, we're just going to have an early dinnery drinks thing down at the local pub, so that should be nice. I'm going to take this shade Temptress on the lower lash line too. Just right over the top of that Persia shade. Shadow was getting a little bit too wingy there. Like, who invited you to wing out, mate? Who invited you? Taking a bigger fluffy brush to blend all that out. I feel like I've got some really hectic stuff coming up. It's my best friend, my very best friend's wedding coming up in May. She's the one that I've got to get ready with her, Lauren, on my channel. So there's lots of stuff happening for that, and I've been planning her hen's party, which is going to be really awesome, which I probably won't talk about on here just yet in case she sees it. But that's coming up in a couple of weeks' time, which is going to be pretty cool. And then, yeah, the wedding is not long after that. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot for me. There's something else as well, but I also won't talk about that at the minute. Super good chat, hey. Hey guys, there's so much going on, but I can't tell you about any of it. Actually, my favorite way to do makeup is to match it to something that I'm already wearing. Like, that's just how I get my inspiration. Does anyone else do their makeup like that? Popping back into the Tartelette in Bloom and taking the darkest burgundy shade, which is called Leader. And I'm using this really cool Smashbox brush, which I used in a tutorial earlier and also in a haul. I showed it in a haul. But I really like it for putting shadow on this outer corner out here. It's really, really good. I'm going to go over the top of all of this, but I'm just going to use this to deepen up this area anyway. I'm actually getting like a whole new appreciation for people who sit here and just chat about their lives. It's not like I've got any problem telling you. You know, there's not a lot going on in my life, so that does kind of make it difficult. But like, I don't know. It would be so much easier if you were having a conversation and people were actually talking to you and you could talk back, but to just sort of sit here and ramble about what's going on in your life is actually quite difficult. Blend that out. Taking the same shade on a pencil brush and just doing the outer edge. Ooh, hello. Oopsie doopsie. Maybe I can just answer a few generic questions while I'm sitting here, because I know that there's not a lot on my channel that says much about who the hell I am. I find the really, really generic 50 questions kind of videos a bit not the most entertaining things in the world. I haven't really filmed one, and I find it like I don't get a lot of comments on my videos. I wish you guys would talk to me. I would love to talk to you. But yeah, I don't really get asked any questions, so I don't really answer any questions. This has been a good chat so far. But yeah, I mean, if anyone had any questions, dear Lord, please ask them. So I'm going to use a little bit of Too Faced glitter glue on the lid, kind of on this bare spot, but also really coming almost all the way out. I just use my finger to do that. I'm going to take Mendoza on a flat shader brush, and this is from the NARS Wanted palette. Oh my god, I'm just going to pack that on top of the glitter glue. I was watching someone else's review on this palette and they were like, I wish that the Mendoza shade wasn't in there. There's so many shades like that already, and you know, I just don't really feel like I want it in the palette, which is fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I was like, that's my favorite shade. Sorry, sounded like a psychotic person then. I was like, but that's my favorite shade. How could anyone not love this shade? And I don't know that there are a million shades like this. Maybe there are, I just don't have them. But I think this is gorgeous. Like, look at that. Look at how sparkly and delightful it is. It's certainly absolutely perfect for my skirt. It's really like duochrome pink orange. So I'm 30, just turned 30. Had a small existential crisis about that. Age is, it's tough, you know, it's a really relative kind of thing. Like, I remember when I was 18, younger even, my friend and I, we would think that like 25 was so old and 30 was just like, you must have your life sorted out by then. You know, you're going to be married, you're going to have kids, you're going to know what the hell you're doing, and like you're going to settle down, and you're essentially going to turn into like an old fuddy-duddy. And now I am 30. Oh, because I had that kind of idea in my head, I guess, about where I'd be at whatever age I was. Like, I found it quite hard turning 30 and not being in that spot and feeling like that's where I should be. And it was quite like confronting, especially for me, because I've had a chronic illness for the past 3.5 years, which I'm probably going to talk more about at some point. But my life has stood still for 3.5 years. And so since I was 27, it's basically been flatlining. And everyone else's life around me keeps going on, and they keep hitting their milestones, and they keep on, you know, achieving their goals or working towards their goals or whatever. And life is on a trajectory for them, and life is not on any kind of trajectory for me. Like, I had plans and goals and things and where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, and like expectations for myself for, and this is the age thing, like for particular ages, particular expectations, and I've just had to let it all go. And that's really, really difficult. And like I said, this video is not about that. So I'm going to talk about that later, but it does mean, like, when milestone ages come around and you really have to like stare in the face where you're at in life, yeah, it can be quite confronting and quite difficult. So anyhow, recently I just turned 30 and I don't feel any different than I did when I was 29. Oh, I'm just going to blend this out a tiny bit. So I'm going to use the smaller brush. I also think it's really interesting with age though, like I was saying before, it's very relative, because I guess I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised, and also makes me curious about like the future and other people as well. But the way I was sometimes as a teenager, like obviously I know a lot more, I've got a lot more life experience, and I do have certain responsibilities and, you know, that sort of thing. But I still go through times when I'm really, really angsty and I want to drink heaps of alcohol, make bad decisions, listen to trashy, depressing music. And, you know, that's the sort of stuff that I associate with being younger and not really knowing what's going on with life. But it's still like that. I think you get older, but the idea of getting older when you're young is if it really changes who you are, but it doesn't really. Like, yes, you gather wisdom. Yes, you gather like experiences, and let's hope that some things change and that you do better in some areas. But I'm still in a lot of ways the same person that I was when I'm a teenager. But I think that, again, coming back to that age is relative thing, I feel like I am, but probably I'm nothing like what I was like. But you just kind of, you don't notice things so much because you're in it. It's like when you drastically change over a long period of time or whatever, and someone sees you and they can really notice the change, but you can't because you see it every single day. Just putting a little bit of that Mendoza in the center of the lower lash line. It's kind of like that. You don't really probably notice as much of a change as is happening. This is an interesting thing to try to explain. Back into that shade Temptress, just deepening up the lower lash line a bit. Yeah, I don't feel like young per se in terms of feeling young and inexperienced or whatever. But then I felt like I was an old soul the entire time I was growing up. So I never really felt like I was young and dumb, basically. And so then I wonder if, you know, in 10 years' time, I'll be looking back at this time and thinking, I really had no idea back then. Hence the age is relative thing. I'm going to take a Stilo U from Lancome. This one's in the shade Prune, which is kind of like a burgundy purple. And I'm just going to run that at the lower lash, at the edge of the top lash line where we place that other dark shadow. And I might bring that on the outer edge down here too. So yeah, anyway, I'm 30. I live in sunny Perth, Australia. I'm originally from the country though. I'm originally from Albany, which is right down the bottom of Western Australia, and it's freezing down there. But it's really, really beautiful, and I actually love coming from the country. I feel like I would always want to go back. I'm just going to take... I'm mixing like a ton of stuff here. It's totally excessive, but whatever. I've got a Stilo waterproof from Lancome in 301 Amethyst, and I'm putting this in the lower lash line. You see how non-pigmented that is? Why? Right. Pissing that off. Pardon the language. I'm actually going to put on a Givenchy Cold Couture in Azure. Cold Couture, actually, sorry. Cold Couture in Cobalt. Cobalt. These have such good pigmentation. I'm just putting this on first because once I put the black one on the top waterline, it's going to want to transfer. So if I've got a base colour first, then it shouldn't interfere with it as much. I don't know of any other liner, like waterline liner, that packs this amount of colour that lasts. You know, whenever you put them on, obviously like black or whatever's different, but the actual colour ones, these Givenchy ones are the best. They really, really put the opacity on your waterline. You can see that for yourself. Like none of it, you saw how pathetic that Lancome was. Sorry, Lancome. I mean, I do use their like black ones and stuff, but for colour, these pack such a punch. I'm going to hope that that has dried enough, and I'm going to put a black one on the upper waterline. I'm just going to mix Coconut Grove and Leader. So that's the NARS Wanted and the Tartelette and Bloom palette. And just stamp that on the outside edge over here a teeny bit more. A bit of start from the Zooey, the Cocoa Blend palette. And I'm just going to put that up here as a matte brow bone highlight. Sort of use that just to clean up the edge around here too. A little bit on the inner corner. Brightening, always with the brightening people. Just because I'm using this does not mean that I'm not going in with the sparkly one afterwards, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just sort of nicking off the wing on that because I want it to be more rounded. That's pretty much the eyes done, so I'm going to stick my contacts in before I put my mascara on. And I'm also just going to have a quick lunch break. So I'll be back. I'm back, and now I'm running late as per usual, so that's enough chit chat from me. Just gonna get the rest of this happening ASAP. Just gonna put on my mascara today. Too Faced Better Than Sex. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I'm just gonna blend in with the Evelyn the powder brush. I really like this brush. Hello. Hello. What? But I'm not ready yet. What's that? But I'm not ready yet. All right. Bye. Told you I was running late. Hope you all really liked the super duper professional way that I just applied the Estee Lauder Double Web. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, I really, really resent it when things like aren't even, barely even like pimples. But for some reason, when you put the foundation over them, they've like the texture really shows up and it looks like they're way worse than they actually are. And you're like, come on, man, you are ruining my perfectly smooth canvas for absolutely no reason. All right, I've run out of time, so I'm just gonna have to finish the rest of my makeup off camera real quick. All right, that was my speed finish off. Sorry for just abandoning you halfway there. I hope you guys enjoyed this little get ready with me. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in my next video.